going to take a closer look at one of my favourite creatures, the badger. I could be a little bit biased because I work down at the Falls of Clyde Reserve in New Lanark, where there's great habitat for badgers and we run badger watches. So as you can see, they're really unmistakable creatures. Look at their striped face here. It's like a little humbug sweetie. And they've got their black legs and this sort of grey body here as well. The badger is a member of the mustelid family, which includes the weasel, the stoat, the pine marten, the otter, and that's because they have a gland at the base of their tail. It helps them scent mark and communicate with each other. On a closer look, you can see just how wedge-shaped it is. Absolutely perfect for digging. You can see the ears here are fairly short, so it won't get filled with mud. It's got a relatively big nose here and quite small eyes. Its claws are really, really long, and you can really feel how wiry it is. Badgers are perfectly designed for underground life. With their short, stubby ears, their sharp claws, strong bodies. No wonder they have such extensive sets. Let's take a walk to one of my favourite sets. Right behind me is a well-established badger set. There's about 6 or 7 main entrance holes, and you can see the spoil heaps well worn outside. It's a perfect spot for them because it's on a kind of slope here, which is good for drainage, and it's nice and sandy soil. Badger sets are handed down from generation to generation. There can be up to 12 individuals in a set, but there tends to be about 5 or 6. Now unfortunately our taxidermy badger here can't show us its paw underneath, but if it could, it would look like this. So it's got 5 little toes, little bean-shaped toes. Often the front paws especially have the claws showing, and we have a kind of kidney-shaped main pad at the back here. Just look at this skeleton of a badger and how long its claws are. A closer look at the badger skull will show us a little bit more about the badger. We can see here it has a huge sagittal crest here at the back, and that is for all the muscle attachment that comes right round, giving it a very powerful jaw. Another distinguishing fact about a badger skull is that it is connected by the lower jaw here, and if you find a skull that is connected top and bottom, then that is going to be a badger skull. If we look at the teeth itself, you can see it's got long canines here and some smoother molars at the back. Now it is a carnivore, which means it's a meat eater, but it is a real omnivorous creature. Badgers have a huge range in their diet, going from roots, shoots and berries to insects and worms. Their favourite by far is definitely worms. They can eat up to 300 worms in one night. This is a badger's nasal cavity. It's really quite big. Its sense of smell is about 700 to 800 times better than ours. Let's look at some other skulls to see the differences. This is an otter skull. You can see how much smaller it is, and the sagittal crest is missing. The fox skull has a much longer nose, definitely not as muscular. The rabbit skull here is much smaller. You really can tell a lot about an animal from its bones. A very distinguishable feature of the badger is its long guard hairs. On closer inspection of the hair, you'll see that it is black with 2 white bands, and it really doesn't roll very easily between your fingers. Thing is, most people don't see badgers. You will, however, find loads of field signs of badgers, and we're going to take a look at some of these field signs in more detail. Their feeding signs, their poo, their footprints, and the hair that they might leave behind. One of the first field signs you're likely to see are the feeding signs. They love worms, so they dig for them. Look out for those little nose-shaped holes. Then you could look for some poo. Badgers dig pits to poo in. You'll sometimes find them all grouped together. This is called latrines. You'll find these latrines next to territory boundaries. Here we're at a latrine site, so there's lots of little pits and a few of them have got some good poo in them. So if we see something like this, you can always just give it the wee sniff test just to double check. Definite badger. So you've got that kind of musky, not unpleasant smell, almost a chemical aftertinge, a bit like TCP. When you're out on your walk, pay close attention to trees and fence posts. There might be claw marks there. A sure way to tell if you're following badgers is to look for their footprints. They've got the 5 toes, remember, claw marks on the front feet. And the very talented can tell the difference between left and right feet. Next, look for trails that the badgers have left, through fields, under fences, into the woodlands. Hopefully they'll take you to a set. Badger holes are classically D-shaped with a flat bottom and a curved top. They also have these trenches dug where the badgers have been pulling out earth. They can be quite the excavator, pulling out boulders almost as big as them. If you're really lucky, you'll find some bedding, maybe in a hole or maybe outside the set, left abandoned. Badgers don't always sleep underground. Sometimes they choose to sleep above ground. Look for these nests under trees, under logs, somewhere cosy, where they can just sit, have a good old scratch or a wee nap. It's a bit like being a detective when you're round about a badger set. First you need to make sure it's a badger set. Find some hairs. Look for footprints. Are those telltale spoil heaps there? Maybe there's some bedding outside the set entrance. Badgers are protected by law, so just make sure you're being very mindful about when walking about a badger set. Make sure that you're not being too heavy-footed in any of the tunnels. Keep your distance. And remember, don't be too long. After all, the badgers are sleeping underground. Here's a short stop-motion film we made to show the underground life of a badger. Badgers live in underground sets, and their tunnels can be up to half a mile long. They sleep in chambers, and are very clean animals, bringing back fresh bedding regularly. Badgers delay their implantation so they can have their babies at a better time of year. This is normally around February time. Many people don't actually see badgers in their whole entire lifetime. This is why the invention of these things has been amazing for us. This is a trail cam. So we are able to put this outside a badger set. It has a camera at the front here and a light that comes on, which is activated by the movement of the badger, and it records 30 seconds clips. We can then collect all information, say over a week at a certain badger set, and see what the badger's been up to. Once you get the hang of it, trail cameras are fairly easy to use, and they're quite inexpensive these days too. Anyone can do it. You should have a go. We're so lucky to have caught some really fabulous footage with our trail cam. Unfortunately, badgers do face illegal persecution, from loss of habitat to road deaths and even illegal badger baiting. Badgers are fully protected in the UK under the Protection of Badgers Act 1992 and the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981. If you see anything like this, you must contact either Scottish Badgers or your local wildlife liaison officer through the police. So we hope you've enjoyed learning all about the badger. You can learn more from our website at www.scottishwildlifetrust.org.uk and our partnership organisation Scottish Badgers.